about half an hour ago, but the news still comes out. I've got my main guy, Wayne Breezie, here. We're going to be breaking down the trade deadline and talking to 49ers football after a pretty fun win this weekend over the Rams. Stay tuned.
Let's go get him. Let's go get him today, man. Let's go. Hey, double down 3. 1, 2, 3. Double down.
What's going on, everybody? We're back with another episode of our Wayne Show. It's Tuesday. That means it's Wayne Day. Wayne, how you doing, my guy?
I'm doing good, my guy, man. Things are getting on the up and up over here, man. How you doing over there?
We're doing good. We're doing good. Trade deadline's busy. Phones are always going off on trade deadline day. And today was a pretty darn fun trade deadline. Got a lot of moves. Got to give a shout out to JDLR here for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning in. But going to be a fun show. And overall, yeah, we can just talk some 49ers Rams, obviously some trade deadline news. But we'll start with the latter.
Okay.
49ers made a move, right? They made one move, only one. Did you expect this trade deadline to go in the way that it did, or what was your initial thought?
Yeah, I've been talking about it. I said if you go back and read the articles on RedZone, I said that Jeff Wilson may be the odd man out in the running back room. So I'm taking it back to before the season started. And I said that he would probably 9 times out of 10 be the running back that the 49ers would trade. And then you get him. I'm cool with Jeff. I love Jeff. I think Jeff has brought exactly what he needed to bring to the 49ers. He was a ray of hope for the 49ers. He kept the 49ers afloat in the majority of their games when he was utilized. I mean, he did have a couple of costly fumbles, but I'm not going to beat him down for those. But, you got to hold on to the ball. But Jeff Wilson Jr. was just that. And then you get to this last game where the 49ers traded for Christian McCaffrey 2 weeks ago, and it made sense. The writing was on the wall that Jeff Wilson was going to be the expendable because you're not going to get rid of Jordan Mason. You're not going to get rid of TDP, and you're getting Elijah Mitchell back. And then you just stashed Tevin Coleman on the practice squad. So it just made sense that he was going to be the expendable piece, being that he's in a contract season. He only cost the 49ers, $1.5 million this particular year. So the 49ers, he only ate half of that because it's at the half of the season. So they're going to save a little bit on their cap, right? Probably put them a little bit over $5 million going forward to do something for, like, let's say if there's an expendable for a different team, let's say there's a piece that becomes a free agent because the team let him go, then the 49ers will probably go salivating like dogs and go get somebody if they need somebody. That's just like the 49er way. They made their splash during the trade deadline, which you typically normally don't see. Normally you see 49ers trading players for picks. This particular time, they traded picks for a player. They got Christian McCaffrey. So I saw the Jeff Wilson thing unfolding, and it just was a matter of time. We got a 5th round pick for him. That's the money round for the 49ers, little bro. And 49ers got picks. Currently, they got 9, and possibly they'll have 10 if DeMeco Ryans becomes a head coach.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it, right? Jeff Wilson Jr., it was, in a way, the writing was on the wall because Elijah Mitchell is now expected to return in Week 10 when the 49ers do face off against the Chargers. You saw it last week. Jeff Wilson Jr. only got 4 carries and he did play in a bit like a fullback without Kyle Juszczyk. But you also wonder, if Kyle Juszczyk was in the fold, what would Jeff Wilson Jr.'s role be? Would he be relegated to maybe 15 snaps maximum? Right, because you have Christian McCaffrey, and then when Elijah Mitchell returns, you have Elijah Mitchell. The one argument against the move, obviously, would be Jeff Wilson Jr. is a guy who could be insurance if one of the top 2 running backs get injured, and that's been the case for the 49ers in a couple of years. But you have a 3rd-string running back that is fetching a 5th round pick. For some context, James Robinson of the Jacksonville Jaguars, he was their starting running back for a majority of the year. He is now New York's starting running back with the Jets. He got a conditional 6th round or a conditional 5th round pick, conditional 6th round pick in return for his services from the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's younger than Jeff Wilson Jr. He's got a 1,000-yard season on his under his belt, and he's going to be a starter for New York. and he only got a conditional 6th. For you to get a 5th-round pick and in 2023, that's a good move by John Lynch. That's just recuperating value after you lost some value with the Christian McCaffrey trade, right? Like, not many people view Jeff Wilson Jr. as a tradable asset. In fact, when I actually suggested in the offseason that Jeff Wilson Jr. could be traded, many people shook it off and said, no way in 20 years are teams trading for draft capital for Jeff Wilson Jr. Well, that's clearly false. He gets a 5th-round pick in return. The 49ers now move forward with the running back room. And the last thing I'll say is you have to raise the question. One 49er running back was not going to be on this team when Elijah Mitchell returned from IR. Why? Because you don't stash 5 running backs and 4 tight ends on your roster. You have CMC, Mitchell, TDP, Jordan Mason, and then you also have Tevin Coleman on the practice squad. So with Wilson now on his last year, made sense to move him, and you keep the remainder of your running backs.
And that's what they're doing. That's what they did. Also, you have to look at the value you got for CMC. When you watch them play, you're like, oh man, he's the guy. Like he's the guy. I love Elijah Mitchell, and I think that combination is going to be dangerous, more dangerous than it would be if it was Jeff Wilson and CMC. And then you can factor in Deebo Samuel, and you got to look at the future, right? I think a lot of us aren't really looking toward the future as of right now. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do now. Can we finish this season strong? Can we be out on top of this season? Can we go to Super Bowl this season? I get it. I'm with that 100%. But you got to look forward to the future. You're going to get Trey Lance back. Now you're adding another element to the run game. And it's just like, oh my goodness, there's going to be options going on this particular offense. So why not start working on it now? Get them in sync now. And then the only piece you got to interchange, Rohan, is Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's the future. But if you want to focus on right now, it's just unfortunate that Jeff Wilson became that expendable piece. And I knew the moment I got the message about Kyle Shanahan yelling at Anthony Lynn, you knew it was because Kyle Shanahan was trying to keep Jeff Wilson Jr. not like untouched. That's what that was. I don't want him playing. Anthony's like, what? Like, he can use a break. Lo and behold, the break allowed CMC to get some strength, get his wind, and then when he came back, boom. It was like they didn't skip a beat. So that's a dangerous combination. But can you imagine the combination? If you liked Jeff Wilson Jr. and Christian McCaffrey, can you imagine what a healthy Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey is going to do? What are your thoughts on that combination?
Now, this is the combination that I've been personally waiting to see. I've said it. The 49ers have been a poor rushing attack in 2022. When you look at the numbers after Trey Lance went down, the 49ers were averaging 5.8 yards per carry at that time. That's now dropped to 3.8 yards per carry in the weeks before the 49ers traded for McCaffrey with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm. Now, Jeff Wilson Jr. is averaging 5.1 yards per carry on the season, but he's a one-dimensional running back, and the 49ers had no other options behind him. The problem with Wilson, didn't have the requisite speed to hit outside zone, meaning the 49ers have to revert to a purely inside zone system, which forced Kyle Shanahan to become more creative. The creativity was good. It resulted in some huge gains for Jeff Wilson Jr., these 30-yard gains, 40-yard gains, these bigger gains because you're having that creativity come out in a play or two, but the remainder of those plays significantly dropped the yards per carry average, and that's why the 49ers were an inefficient running group in 2022 so far. In that period of time, they were the 29th best rushing attack according to EPA per play, which essentially says how many points are you adding per play, how efficient is your offense. According to DVOA, they're the 26th rushing attack in 2022. And now with McCaffrey, it's a huge, huge addition. So Jeff Wilson Jr. has had a good season, but his impact on the 49ers hasn't been what you'd expect for a player with his stats. Now with Elijah Mitchell in the fold, the thing that I've been stressing is you now have 2 players that are capable of being utilized in the inside zone and outside zone scheme. You have multi-dimensional players, and you have a number of them. Go back to 2019. What happened? Why were they the second best rushing attack in the league? Because they had 3 players that were able to be multidimensional in Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, and Raheem Mostert. And now you have 2 of those guys and really a true bell cow back in McCaffrey as well. That's why this offense is going to be I think it's going to take a step up, especially in the running game. And that's why you can maybe revert more to relying on that running game rather than having to throw 40 times and run only 16 times in certain games.
Yeah, the 49ers can never go back to that formula. It doesn't win games. And it's not just the 49ers. I've been saying it on show after show after show. Even Tom Brady throwing the ball 40 plus times is coming up with L's. So that's just not the formula. You gotta, Kyle Shanahan is outside in. Okay, so he wants to get the ball to the outside. He wants to wear the defenses out. So maybe people might not really understand, Rohan, what the outside zone is. So the outside zone is when you're getting your running backs to run outside these tackles. So your tackles,
Correct.
that's why they're slimmer and not as big, right? They're quicker on their feet. That's why Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey, when he's running the zone, he's pretty damn good at it, right? They get out there, they get out fast, they set that edge. So two things can happen from setting the edge. Your running back can make the cut and go inside, or the running back could go to the outside. Yes, bro. Your tooth came out?
No, I pulled it out.
Oh my gosh, my son pulled out his tooth. When I was young, I used to cry. Roman's not crying.
Hey, your son's a legend then.
Yeah, he's a legend. All right, Rome, you have no clothes on. Please don't come over here. Thank you. No one wants to see you in your birthday suit, son. All right. So he pulled his own tooth out. Like, that is a G up certified gangster, if I've ever heard of it. I remember when my tooth was loose, I would cry. It hurt. It was like it's nerves. Maybe the kids got different nerves. They're born with different nerves. I don't know what it is. But I don't even know what I was talking
Amazing.
about now, because
Amazing.
It's pulling. Can you imagine pulling your own tooth out? No, I can't.
I've done it before. It's not the most pleasant thing. Yeah, I've done it before. When that thing is wiggly, I'm like, yo, I need that thing out. Yeah, so I pulled it before. I'm not gonna lie though. I was crying like a bitch after that, but I pulled it out.
Came downstairs like, yo, daddy. I'm like, oh, you lost your tooth. No, I pulled it out. I said, get out, tooth. I don't know how much Tooth Fairy pays.
Hey, he true gangster then.
Straight up, man. But yeah, that's what the outside zone is, Rohan. And that's what the 49ers have been lacking all season long. They've been trying to stretch outside with toss plays. Remember before Elijah Mitchell?
Breezie and toss plays. That's the biggest breakup you've ever heard of.
Do you remember we used to run stretches though? But that was because Mostert and Breida and those guys were just so quick. You can hand a stretch is when it's a long handoff. You can hand the ball off and boom, that running back's taken out to the outside. A toss is when the running back is not as fast, but when they get out there, they're fast. So you toss it there. It's like you toss it to the space. Not even toss it to the running back. It's like a pass. You be there. I'm tossing the ball to the spot. You catch it and break up. And that's what the 49ers have been struggling in. But listen, they got Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. And you said it right before Roman pulled his tooth out. That's going to be dangerous. That's going to be dangerous because you bring back the zone run.
No, definitely. And you at least allow for more options. One thing a lot of people are like saying, with Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan's going to become more creative. Kyle Shanahan's going to do this and that. In my opinion, it's going to be the opposite in a way, in that he's going to just become more basic. Why? Because he can revert back to the old system of his offense that really flourished in those years, because you have these two backs that are able to do different things. And the biggest part, plays you can't run with Jeff Wilson Jr. because of his skill set and play style, you can with Christian McCaffrey because he's got such vision that when those tacklers are there, they're really not there because he has a certain vision to find the lane where he needs to go. Everything is back in the arsenal. Your toss plays, your wide zones, the cutback lanes towards the middle. Everything is now in your arsenal. You're not limited as a running group. And that's going to be important because the passing game is also seeing dividends with Christian McCaffrey, meaning you've got both sides of your offensive attack kind of improving in the most crucial part of the season.
Look, I love it. I didn't think that way. I didn't think that's a dope, interesting perspective, Rohan. Simple. I always say keep it simple, stupid. Maybe Kyle will keep it simple because he, like you said, he can rely on his talent. Oh, we about to pull the chat up on the stream. I love it. This is what I love about Restream. StreamYard. You need to figure it out because this is dope. This is dope. Restream. You got it. But no, seriously, that's what's going to be really cool. Because he might just keep it simple because he can actually say, Jimmy could be like, yo, man, I'm gonna get you the ball and you do the rest.
Mhm.
I watched Christian McCaffrey make people miss. It was almost Debo-esque like. I watched Brandon Ayuk catch the ball and say, you know what? Bump this. I ain't going down. I'm gonna try to get some yak. I watched George Kittle just say, I'm trucking somebody. I watched the players not want to go down. Even Jeff Wilson Jr. Like, he had a nice cut off of a beautiful Spencer Burford block, bro. Number 74. The block was so dope. It was an outside zone run. It was an inside to out, though. So that's what Jeff Wilson is specializes in. It's like he cuts in, he follows the block, and if he sees it, he has to see it, he cuts outside. And he had like, what, 10, 11 yards off of that. I think he finished the game with 14 yards. So it was his biggest run.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think overall, you're going to now see a new look kind of offense for the 49ers in that you're finally getting pieces fully healthy, right? You have your entire tight end kind of group at your arsenal. And that includes guys like Ross Dwelly, Tyler Croft. Ross Dwelly, I remember, was dealing with something earlier in the year. He's fully healthy. You already saw what happened. His opportunity when his number was called over Warner, he made his damn catch. That's something that you've missed in 2 opportunities that have costed touchdowns. Garoppolo gets in he's in a role right now. And Garoppolo, the thing about him, you saw it last year too. In that 8-game stretch, he had a couple of good games. When he gets in a role, when he gets in a rhythm, it's important. And that's how the 49ers offense moves. They shouldn't change from their roots, but now they have more options with Christian McCaffrey under the helm. Obviously, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk really, really emerging as that guy that Garoppolo now even trusts, right? Everybody pointed to Garoppolo isn't going to trust Ayuk, right? That's a Trey Lance thing. That's not true. This year, Garoppolo has consistently trusted Ayuk, especially over the last 3 games. So that's a big thing for the 49ers. And they're looking like they're in a pretty good spot, right? Heading into the second half of the season.
Very much so. Very much so. Very well spoken as well, Rohan. I like the whole options idea. I think that's where the 49ers are going to be headed. Jimmy Garoppolo has many different weapons he can get that ball to. And again, he doesn't have to overplay. My whole thing is Jimmy doesn't have to overplay. He doesn't have to win a game. Jimmy just has to get the ball to his playmakers. How many passes did you see in this game? Christian McCaffrey took the pass and then made a play out of it. How many times have we seen Deebo Samuel take a 1-yard pass and take it to the house? Like this is what you want for 49ers. For us, it makes us happy. To be like, these are ways you can sustain these drives, get long drives, and there's ways you can just punch people in the mouth. And I think coming out of the bye week, Rohan, I think the 49ers are going to flip a switch and they're going to literally go out there. And I'm not saying they're going to put up 40 points a night. I'm not even saying they're going to put up 30 points a night, but I guarantee you they're going to get to that number to where they end the season average around 27 to 28 points per game. I think that's where the 49ers are headed. Why? Because the way that the team is built and the way that the injured players are going to come back and add value to this team. They have value coming back. It's not like they got depth coming back. They have value coming back.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Most definitely. A player now looking on that value side, let's flip the script to the defense.
Okay.
A player that the 49ers were reportedly interested in and that I can confirm were interested in was defensive tackle Daron Payne. 49ers did call in to try and acquire Daron Payne. And really the approach was trying to get an interior defensive lineman. 49ers obviously did not end up making that move. That was the second move that they could have made. A lot of people anticipated, myself included, ended up not making the move. Are you disappointed in any way? And if not, just take me through your thought process on that.
Good question, Rohan. Am I disappointed? No. I'm uber confident in the 49ers team. I don't know how the injuries are going to play out, meaning the ones that are already injured. I'm not talking about anything new. I'm talking about the players that are already injured.
Mm-hmm.
Did I want Payne? Yes. Why? A couple of reasons. A, it bolsters up boosts up your defensive line tremendously. You go from a C defensive line as far as your interior, automatically you're in the A minus A range, just like that, right?
Right.
And then you add an A player back in
Mhm.
Eric Armstead, and then you get a B player back in Javon Kinlaw, and now your depth has upgraded, right? And so that's what out there. Your rotation also is going to allow people to come in, get a break, get help. It's just going to allow a healthier rotation of guys. I, am I upset that we didn't make that trade? No. Why? Because I think the 49ers know something that we don't know. I think Eric Armstead is going to come back. He's going to come back healthy. He's going to come back strong. I do have a question mark around Kinlaw, but since they didn't make this trade, there's a possibility I think he comes back too. And so if he comes back, you get Eric Armstead, you get Javon Kinlaw. There's not one team that's going to probably rush for more than 50 yards a game combined. Take away, you got to remind yourself, a lot of these games we played in had quarterbacks that would run the ball 20, 30 yards, and then it
Mhm.
just added to the running total of over to get you over the 100 yards. The only quarterback we got to worry about, and this is when I really want Eric Armstead. I need Eric Armstead out there in Mexico City. That should be his target game to come back, because Kyler Murray is different. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put Armstead out on the edge because of his containment skills when it comes to Kyler Murray. I don't think that would be a good matchup for Ebukam. And I don't think Drake Jackson is quite there yet at the containment stage of playing defensive end. I might switch that up and let those big guys play in the middle on Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, I think that that's an intriguing take on the part about the trade itself. Am I disappointed? Not at all. Why? Because the 49ers don't have draft compensation. We were talking a little bit before the show. They just don't have draft compensation to acquire a player like Daron Payne. That's why it would have been a miracle and a great move if they pulled it off. The 49ers don't have a first or a second round pick in 2023. For those that ask, oh, well, they could have just traded a first round pick in 2024 or a second round pick in 2024. Well, from a league office perspective, that's not true. Let's talk about Washington and their GM. Their GM is probably on the hot seat over the next 2 years. Why?
Okay.
Because they continue to have high draft picks, and they, with those high draft picks, have not been able to really get results. And while they do have a good relationship with GM Martin Mayhew, who was a 49ers executive before, that probably prompted the talks. Mayhew understands that he needs to compile the best roster and he needs assets for himself. If they trade for a 2024 second round pick, he could get fired in the 2024 offseason and not be able to use that 2024 second round pick for himself. So
Wow.
they're looking for 2023 assets rather than 2024 assets. Hence why I'm sure they were not willing to part ways with Payne for anything less than a second round pick in compensation. Yeah, the 49ers could have traded a third and 2/5, but they're also looking at it for themselves. Daron Payne is going to get a contract extension this year by whatever team. He is on the last year of his deal, but this is his fifth year option. On top of that, the 49ers have guaranteed money, a $5 million cap hit to Javon Kinlaw next year, which is fully guaranteed. They also have Arik Armstead making upwards of $20 million next year and are going to pay Nick Bosa a fifth-year option next year, which likely adds on or some will be somewhere around that range when he gets his extension. So going to the future, you can't pay three members of your defensive line significant money. And so maybe that requires a trade for a guy like Arik Armstead. His dead cap hit this offseason is already over 20 million. Financially, it is a really complicated situation, which meant that the capital had to be good for the 49ers if they were going to make the move. That's why I'm not disappointed. But he's a great player. Daron Payne's a great player. 49ers would have definitely loved to have him.
He would have been a difference maker on this defense. I do know that. He would have been a difference maker on this defense. But again, look, I'm banking on the fact that Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, and those guys are going to be ready to go after the bye. That's what I'm banking on. I think that's what the coaches are banking on. And we should be happy now if we still need to make a move, like with 5 or 6 weeks left, and there's a guy like Ndamukong Suh, because somebody got injured and you need to fill that spot. There are a couple of free agent defensive tackles out there we could look at, and I just named one of them.
Yeah, I think so too. But I want to ask now that question because you said dependent on Armstead and Kinlaw. What if Kinlaw does not return this year? Does your
Mhm.
confidence wane? And what do you think the 49ers should do in that situation? Stay put and have Given start? Or do you think that they should have made a move at the deadline if that was the case?
I mean, that's kind of like hindsight. That's kind of like
Yeah.
that's why they should have tried to go all in on the defensive tackle for the trading. But the 49ers could be waiting for people to be released as well. Some teams are in cap casualty hell and they want to get rid of guys and they're going to get rid of high players and those players will get picked up. So it's not like, especially if they're a high commodity, if the Washington Commanders release Deron Payne, they're going to forfeit the rights to the contract and they're going to end up eating stuff or whatever. Look, there's a team that will pick him up. A team like the Rams, a team like the Seahawks, a team like us will pick him up. It would be detrimental if the 49ers didn't try to go after a guy like that. But if they don't get him, and if Kinlaw does go on the IR, which there's a possibility, and I think that might be his best option for right now. I don't know if it's the best team option, but I think it'll be the best option for him. Shut yourself down, let your body heal, take the mental stress off yourself, Kinlaw. You got one more year to come out here and be good, right? That's what I would do if I was Kinlaw. Look, if he's not out there, Rohan, I'm it sucks because he's a big
Yeah.
contributor to the run stopping game.
Yeah.
But the 49ers they're fourth in stopping the run. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Kinlaw is such a huge Kinlaw's value, I think, is understated because when he's on the field, he's a difference maker, but he's not on the field. So people immediately go to the point where, wow, he's injury prone. He's not a good player because they don't see him enough. That's
Mm,
fair. Kinlaw's not he's not on the field a good amount, but when he's on the field, there is a clear presence as to what he's able to do.
100%.
And he's just an athletic freak. He's not a like you can't clone a player of Javon Kinlaw's stature. 6'5", 292, shredded player. And with his physical attributes, it's unfortunate that this injury does seem like it's going to probably cost him towards an early end towards his career.
Career. Yeah.
Yeah. But
But you know what it is mainly his size, right? And it's like he's coming into the league, he's
yeah.
kind of tall. And he has to, I don't know. I think that could be what's hindering him, and that would mean his knees will never get better to play, particularly football in the NFL. But I'm rooting for the guy. I think Kinlaw is a force to be reckoned with, and he's your run stopper, right? He's your guy. So
Mhm.
we have to figure out his injuries and things like that. So hopefully he'll get healthy.
Yeah. Real quick, here is what John Lynch just said about Jeff Wilson Jr.
Okay.
Miami came hard yesterday and all the way down to this morning. Talked about
Talk.
how the team loves Jeff Wilson Jr. Talks about how the team loved Jeff Wilson Jr. and that he wanted Jeff Wilson Jr. to go to a place that would obviously take care of him. Miami is that place. On the reason why they traded him, it was tough to do, but something that was too tough to pass up on, so we made the deal. Talked about how Jordan Mason is a good special teams player and that Ty Davis Price is a guy we're extremely high on. What's kind of your thoughts on Lynch's words?
Those was exactly what we said when we opened up the show, talking about why Jeff Wilson Jr. Probably was traded. It's John Lynch just explained it. It's look, you don't want to trade a player. I felt this is deja vu. I felt like we did this before. Maybe I don't know. It's weird. Like around the George Kittle time or something like that, where they didn't trade Kittle. But listen, it's not that they wanted to trade him. It's just that a
Yeah.
team made them an offer. And it was an offer that they couldn't refuse. Guys, you got a guy that you developed, and you just said he wasn't the best running back. He was a good running back, and he was a good running
Mhm.
back for this offense, right? He can pass catch, he can pass protect, he can run the ball. That's what Jeff Wilson Jr. did. But you also drafted a running back with your third round pick. You also got another undrafted guy in Jordan Mason that looks like he could be a Jeff Wilson Jr. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so you move on from it because you gain capital. It's the flip game. You guys ever flip anything in your life? And I don't mean do like flips. I mean, ever buy something and you be like, you buy it for one price and then you turn around, you sell it for more? That's flipping. That's what the 49ers did. They took Jeff Wilson Jr. in, polished him up, got him right, He got himself right. And then they were like, yo, does anybody want him?
Yeah. You're right. And I think it is a smart move, like we talked about earlier. Now the 49ers are pretty much they're pretty much set, right, in terms of draft picks for this draft. They have 9 projected draft picks when involving the compensatory formula. That does not involve, though, the draft picks that they could get for D'Amico Ryans. That does not involve the draft picks that they could get for Jimmy Garoppolo if he moves on as expected after the offseason. So there still is good ground for them to get more capital, for them to move up in the draft and really recoup whatever they need after free agency. But talking about sticking on to the topic of the trade deadline, talking about some other moves, some contenders made some pretty big moves today. Let's start with the Minnesota Vikings, who are 6-1, traded for
That's,
TJ Hawkinson, a
that's what
second round pick,
trade
I
deadline,
believe, in a
right?
fourth round pick. Yeah, traded for TJ Hawkinson. What do you kind of think of that move? And do you? I want to also preface that after getting your thoughts. Do you think the Minnesota Vikings are actual contenders this year?
Their record says they are. They have the weapons on the offense. Their defense is still playing really well. So yeah, I mean they just focus on winning what the NFC North. That's their job. Their job is to win that. Our job is to win the West. And it's an automatic ticket into the playoffs, and then you play the best of the guys. But look, they look good. I don't. There's nothing bad I can say about the Vikings. They needed a tight end. They went out and got one. And so that's what you do when you need a piece. You spend more to get it, especially if it's a valuable piece. I feel like this hurts the Lions, but the Lions aren't contending. So the Lions are going to look to recoup and build in the draft. And for TJ Hawkinson, he should be happy he's getting the hell out of Detroit. No one wins in Detroit. Now go try to win in Minnesota, bro. Love TJ Hawk. Love T Hawk, man. Really good player. I think you're muted.
Snap. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I think that that team is a pretty good team now with TJ Hawkinson. That's kind of their one hole on offense. Defense is still a bit questionable, especially in the secondary, but that's a good move for that team. Here, Tony Montana says, "Do you think Jeff's happy on the Dolphins?" I think Jeff Wilson Jr. wanted to go to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that the 49ers wanted to do what was best for Jeff Wilson Jr.'s interests. Wouldn't be surprised if he secretly went and asked for a trade after the 49ers moved for Christian McCaffrey, given he anticipated his volume. Because remember, he's on a 1-year deal. He needs to prove himself because he needs to get that money for his next contract. So, yeah, I do think that that's a place where he would want to go, especially given that Raheem Mostert normally operates most efficiently out of a timeshare.
Bingo. Bam, bam. Jeff Wilson's going to succeed there too. That's his offense.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It really is.
Oh, you got to
Looking
check
at some
Jeff question real quick. Should
go for it.
Should Christian McCaffrey? I said Christian. Should Christian McCaffrey switch back to number 22? I was talking to John Chapman about this, and he says he could switch back, but he has to buy the rights to. He has to buy out all those number 22 jerseys, 23 jerseys, and or 22. He has to buy them out. That's what it's going to cost him. It's not like he's just paying Jeff Wilson Jr. anymore. Now he has to buy the jerseys that are manufactured and have them all switched out. And I think it's the 23s or whatever, because people started making 23s and people started buying the 23s. I think he should stay in 23. That's a great number. That's one of the greatest players to ever play a sport of all time. It kind of makes a statement. And damn, he was out there looking like a goat on Sunday. I say stay in the 2-3. What are your thoughts?
I think that Christian McCaffrey, well, first of all, I don't believe that Christian McCaffrey can move his jersey until the offseason. If I'm not mistaken, I think that McCaffrey can only change his jersey afterwards because he already suited up and they're already manufactured. So I could be wrong there, but I think he stays with 23. And I mean, I was talking with a couple of guys in a space earlier today. He played a damn good game in number 23 last week. Imagine he switches it and something goes wrong. Like, I think he keeps 23 at least for the remainder of this year.
I think he should just keep 23. It looks good on him. It's a new start. Sometimes you just need a fresh new start, fresh new number. But I know there's certain numbers that are dear to players, and I totally get it. So whatever it is he feels is best for him, I rocks with it. That I support it. But I'm glad I didn't get my 23 jersey yet. So we'll figure it out. Like we'll find out. And I think he has to buy all of those 23 jerseys, and then boom, they'll give him the 22. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Another piece of news, real quick, that I saw a couple minutes ago. Matt Mayoko said that Elijah Mitchell is expected. Elijah Mitchell told him that he will return after the bye week. That's the plan right now. Something that we also brought up at the beginning of the show as one of the reasons why the 49ers made the move to trade away Jeff Wilson Jr. Um, we talk about the move. We talked about the move earlier, but how important is it that Elijah Mitchell and McCaffrey stay healthy now for the remainder of the year?
It's always important for players to stay healthy. The question is, can they find a way to get their bodies, right? I mean, it's not for look. I'm gonna tell you like this: Elijah Mitchell is a running back one, and like in that Chicago game, if he didn't get hurt, we win that game. We stopped running the ball effectively when he went out, and I didn't even know he went out. I'm like, yo, why are we not running the ball? And it's nothing against Jeff Wilson Jr. or whoever it is they were using at the time. I can't remember, but like Elijah Mitchell is different in the run game. He runs with power, he runs with finesse, he runs with speed. He just runs with the package. He has the vision. He can pass catch, he can pass protect. He's just a little different. But the moment he went out, we took a hit, and we were trying to suffice the adversity as long as we could. And then there was an opportunity presented where you got Christian McCaffrey. And now I'm saying to myself, now Christian McCaffrey's running back one, and Jeff Wilson Jr. will be running back two. But the good thing is, pick your poison. Pick your poison, league. Pick your poison, team. Which one you want to get poisoned by? You can get poisoned by this, or you can get poisoned by that. I think that's going to be one of the name of my episodes, this or that.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just the business of the league, and I think that, like you said, health is important always. Contingent on health always. And I think that the 49ers will have a pretty strong duo now. But I also, in a way, think this is some confidence in the young running backs, right? Tyron Davis Price now is pretty much been told, you're the guy. If one of these guys goes down, you're that guy that has to step up and now play. And so, well, obviously, there's the theory that Shanahan hates playing running backs hate playing rookies. It's a way that they are showing faith in their young guys, because if Jeff Wilson Jr. was not traded, I think Jordan Mason or TD Pre probably, like, you can't carry 5 running backs. So Mason likely gets cut in that way, and you lose the one running back on your team that plays special teams. So it's a tough predicament for the 49ers in that case.
Well, it was simply strictly business. This was nothing personal. And John Lynch made it clear he wanted to make sure that he went to a team he wanted to go to. That's the one thing John Lynch makes sure. He makes sure that the player that's leaving is leaving on good terms. He wants to keep that open and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I love that fact that John Lynch cares about the players that much. Some owners don't, and some general managers don't give two flying cares. They're going to trade you for the highest dollar, but he's trading to him to a team that he knows he's going to excel in, and a team he wants, place he wants to be. You get down to Miami, you ain't got to pay no sales, no taxes on your monies.
That's true.
Taxes is going to look.
That's a pretty big deal, yeah. But let's talk about the Rams game real quick before we hop off today's show. 49ers obviously beat the Rams. Good win, 31-14. Offensively, what did you see from the team that really pleased you? Obviously, Christian McCaffrey had a great game, but what did you see from the team that kind of changed the way that you viewed the 49ers offense after a couple of poor weeks?
Well, even in this particular game, Rohan, there was a couple of poor drives. I mean, after the Rams scored, the 49ers were able to match it. So I saw the aggressiveness, right? And so I'm saying to myself, okay, this team is going to march the ball down the field. You saw aggression because you saw a trickery play. That's being aggressive. When you throw out something you haven't seen before, you're like, yeah, I mean, we've seen it before, but haven't seen it this year. We're like, okay, Kyle ain't trying to lose this game. And then it gets stagnant, right? You get a couple of drops, a couple of bad throws or whatever, whatnot. I guess they stayed consistent in trying to do what they had to do. Jimmy was dialing up some nice throws. Players were catching some nice passes. And the 49ers found a way to find consistency. And in finding consistency, they were able to stay in rhythm. And if you notice in the second half, after the first drive, when the defense gave them the ball back, rhythm took over. Like Jimmy started doing really rhythmic things, getting the ball out. Christian McCaffrey, they were running the ball. You had a good balance of run and pass. And that's the key to victory. Balance, run, pass. That's going to be my number one key to victory for the remainder of the season. First, number one, balance. Got to have balance, because when you have balance, you control the game. You just control the game. And I thought that's what the 49ers did. So going into this bye week, coming back into the regular season, sky's the limit for this team. They just got to remain balanced. They got to figure out balance. They could start off slow, fine. They already showed they can overcome starting off slow just past
Right.
Sunday. So they just got to figure out a way to get into rhythm and find their balance. That's what I saw from the offense this week.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think this comment here just sums it up very well. Adjustments, execution, and discipline. Talking about adjustments, the 49ers, at that end of the first half, they were down 14-10. They needed to make adjustments, specifically defensively. D'Amico Ryans came in, shut it down, called some very well-timed third down stunts that ended up in either sacks or pressures on Matthew Stafford. The defense really shut them down. And then offensively, you saw the execution. The execution, apart from a couple of drives, like you said, Wayne, was pretty darn good. Garoppolo was really going through progression, something we don't see on a consistent basis. And I think that comfortability came with the addition of McCaffrey. You now have more comfortability going towards your check down, which has been an issue with Garoppolo, fixating on a read, which sometimes results in an interception. Instead, he can go boom, 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 look at his fourth read, hit McCaffrey, and understand that he probably gets 3-4 yards at least out of a play. And so that's the execution. The adjustments were there. The discipline is now going to be the biggest thing, because the topic that we've talked about with the 49ers, who beats the 49ers? The biggest culprit always is themselves. And so that's where you need to remain disciplined as a team, not only with penalties, but with turnovers as well. And they did a good job in not giving up turnovers this game. Garoppolo, obviously a clean game. McCaffrey did have that one bobble, but overall, they kept it pretty clean, and they kept the game on their terms. When they do that, they have a better shot of winning by a significant margin because of the way that they play football. And so all three of those factors were huge, and a reason why the 49ers end up going into the bye with such momentum.
And the momentum is crazy, and unfortunately, it's gonna be a small pause in the momentum, because I know George Kittle is ready to play this week, because you can see that the team is finally clicking, right? And that's what you want. You want this team clicking. And now that the team is clicking, it looks like they're hitting their stride. They're getting all that stuff going for the 49ers. All of a sudden, they got to take a small pause for the cause. So that's what I call a little break when I'm out there singing. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to take a small pause for the cause, and then 45 minutes later, I come back. But no, seriously, that's what they're doing. This team is they're gonna hit their stride. And the moment they get into that cruise control gear, man, this offense is gonna look magnificent. It's gonna look beautiful. I'm telling you, bro.
No, definitely. And that's why the second half should be fun. They're going to be the games where you blow it, definitely, for sure. I think there are going to be some underrated games, some games the 49ers should win that they end up losing. But the 49ers are in a good shape. They're now currently the 7th seed in the NFC West. And the good news is the Seahawks kind of have to be perfect from here on out. The 49ers have the tiebreaker right now. They did defeat them in week 2.
Yes,
If they
sir.
defeat them again when they face off on Thursday Night Football, in what I personally consider to be a trap game in week, then they're set, because the 49ers should win more games than the Seahawks this over the remainder of the season. And even if they end up tied, the 49ers will have the better record because of the head-to-head. So it seems like they're in a good spot at the moment for sure.
I love it. Look, all the 49ers got to do, the 49ers write their own ticket here on out. They got to 500 football. They're back to what they know. Remember, and this is not an excuse, but they did face a lot of adversity. And I'm going to tell you the biggest hit. The biggest hit to this team wasn't losing Trey Lance, because we had Jimmy Garoppolo. The biggest hit to this team was losing Emmanuel Mosley. And I think they're starting to figure it out. I think they're figuring it out, though. I think Diamondre Lenore is letting the world know he could play cornerback in this league. So I think that they're figuring it out.
Definitely. No, definitely. And I think that you're right. They have to kind of figure it out themselves. And once they do, it's going to be a good luck for both sides of the football field.
There it is.
Wayne, to end today's show, I want to do one thing. The 49ers obviously traded for Christian McCaffrey. You hit 5K on your old account. And as a result, I gave away a free Christian McCaffrey jersey. Did a random generator type of thing last night to figure out who's going to win. And so to end today's show, I want to announce who won the jersey. If you're on the chat, that's great. If not, going to announce it on Twitter as well to make sure you figure it out. But Wayne, a drum roll, please, to end today's show. The winner of the Christian McCaffrey giveaway is Niner Joe 1 on Twitter. Niner Joe, thank you for tuning in onto the streams always, and thank you for also going on Twitter and entering the giveaway. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you guys. If you guys can get me up to 1K,
woo! Congrats, Niner Joe 1.
But guys, I appreciate you guys so much. If you could help me and Wayne both get to 1K, we're getting there soon, sooner than later. Help me and Wayne both rebuild our channels, get back to 1K. That would be, I'd truly appreciate it. I know Wayne would as well. But any last thoughts, man?
Nah, man, guys, enjoy your break and make sure your alerts are set to on for both channels because we're going to be bringing you content. We're not taking a break during this week, so make sure you guys tune in to each and every one of our shows. Rohan has a slew of shows he's going to be doing. I got a slew of shows we're going to be doing, and so make sure your alerts are set to on. You do not want to miss out.
100%. You heard it there first. But guys, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We will catch you guys next time.